Welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and I'm going to do a review in depth of Lando Calrissian. Now, I have briefly touched on Lando Calrissian a couple of times in previous Scoundrel videos, but he does deserve an in-depth review on him and him alone. So I'm going to try and get through this as fast as possible. I know these in-depth reviews are pretty big, and I'm trying not to make them as long as they are, but it's just hard to cover everything without them being 20 to 30 minutes long. But my overall score, if you're looking for just a quick down to dirty thing, would be get Lando Calrissian. He's absolutely awesome. Definitely one of the top 10 best characters in the game. Now, he used to be not as relevant, and people are wondering what happened. How did he come to be? Why did he all of a sudden become popular? Almost, it feels like overnight. A couple of things happened. One, his synergies with the Wedge and Biggs combo has really brought new life to him because he does get boosted with Wedge's leadership ability. But the other thing as mods dropped a few months ago, and mods have really changed the game because his abilities really hinge off of his critical chance, and before it was inconsistent at best with his critical chance as to whether it was going to trigger or not. With mods, you can make it almost a guarantee that he gets his double down reset each and every time, and so because of that, it just makes him way more relevant. Plus, with mods, you can make his critical damage higher, and so because of that, you can really make a power horse out of him for the damages. So his base power stat is going to be at about 75 or 7850. His base speed will be 115, which is not bad, and his base protection and health are both around approximately 14,000 each, which is not bad. You can find him on these two battles. Now, if you don't have Battle 5F node unlocked, just use the 1E. 1E and 5F statistically drop about the same shards, but of course, if you're using the same amount of energy, you'll get 1 or 2 shards less by doing the Lando on the right with the 12 energy. However, if you can do the 5F and you don't mind losing 1 or 2 shards a day on him, look at the rewards. They're definitely much better. You're going to get 4.5 times the credits by doing so. So I would recommend the 5F if you're not in a massive rush. You will unlock him, and you'll unlock him pretty fast. But if you really want to get him lightning fast, you could always do the 1E. Or if you just don't have 5F unlocked, you can always do that. So that's where you're going to find him. And I'd put him in the top 3 farmable characters out of Cantina battles. He's definitely in the top 3. I'd arguably put him number 1 if you need him as a scoundrel leader, or I'd put him number 2 if you feel like Genoshan Soldier is kind of your powerhouse for your arena team and you want him. So anyway, I would put him in the top 3 for sure, but I would definitely recommend him number 1 or number 2 slot for you. So let's just go ahead and get right to it. I do have him with all his attacks and abilities leveled max, except for his basic. It's almost maxed. I do have him gear 11. About 18 characters can go to gear 11. He's one of them. And I have it maxed out. And then I also have him 7 stars, so that's great as well. So we're going to go ahead and go over how I have him modded and then how I recommend modding him. So the first is how I have him modded. First, to set bonuses, I have critical chance in there. I would recommend having either 3 critical chance set bonuses or 1 critical chance set bonus and 1 critical damage set bonus, and not the health mods that I have in there. But the health mods are what I have, and you kind of have to use what you have, right? So I would recommend either the critical chance or the critical damage. Let's just go into the set bonuses, and you can see them right in the middle. If you do 1 of each, they'll take all 6 of your slots, and you'll get plus 5 critical chance and plus 30% critical damage. Now, again, the critical damage is something I don't have as a set bonus, so I went ahead and used health. And we'll go ahead and go through each of these slots individually and tell you what primary stat you should have. So for the transmitter, it's always going to be offense, so that's what I have in there. For the next one down, it's processor. It'll always be defense, and that's why I have that in there. Now, I did get a 5 speed on secondary stat, and so I think that's great. Anytime you can get speed as a secondary, definitely take it. On the data bus on the bottom left, I chose protection. I always tell you choose health protection with defaulting to protection for most characters, as it makes them tankier, beefier, and they last a lot longer. So 23.5% protection. And the rest of the secondary stats are pretty junk on here. Now, the right side is where it gets a little more convoluted. You can have many different options or choices. On the top right is your critical chance receiver. It's why I used it, because it was making my set bonus of critical chance. But it did have critical avoidance on it. Now, that is good, because anytime somebody's going to crit on one of your characters, this gives them a chance of avoiding that critical damage. You want to avoid critical damage, especially somebody who's this kind of mid of the road. This guy can be killed pretty easily, so you don't want him to be, hit by Rey and killed in the first turn, because then he doesn't get a chance to do his double down on the second time. So definitely critical avoidance is not bad in here, but you could argue for accuracy to make sure that if you're going against evasion teams, that he actually hits the team that he's going against, as well as you could argue for speed. Speed would be great. The faster he is, the faster he's going to take turns, and of course you want him to go as fast as possible. So a 30 speed in here, or the accuracy would be great, but I had critical avoidance, so that is what I used. On the hollow array, the triangle, you can use either critical chance or critical damage. I would really recommend you balance your character out if possible. So if you've got a critical damage set bonus, then do critical chance in this slot, or vice versa. If you have a bunch of 3 sets of critical chance, then do critical damage in this slot if you have it, and you just go with what you have. Again, I didn't have a plus 36% critical damage health mod to go in here to work with the other health mods I was using, so I went with critical chance. But either or, you could use critical chance or critical damage, but really you want to get your critical chance, and I'll show you when we get to stats. You really want it over 50% before he applies his own abilities to himself. And then on the bottom right, the multiplexer, I always tell you to do potency or tenacity for the most part as a general rule of thumb. I would still recommend that, with the exception that I don't have any tenacity mods to put down in here for him, and so I had to pick something else, and I tell you, protection was a great runner-up. I was able to add another 23.5% protection, so between the 2 protection mods on the bottom, I was able to get him up almost 50% more on protection, which is excellent. He's definitely not nearly as squishy as he was. So there's the way I modded it and the way I suggest. Again, an overview, I'd really suggest in here on your hollow array, doing critical chance or damage, balance it out with what you're doing set bonuses of. I would recommend either 3 set bonuses of the critical chance, or 1 of the critical chance and 1 of the critical damage. And that's how I would do it. Anytime you can get secondary stats, by the way, look at this hollow array. The secondary stats, protection almost 1,300, and speed at 10. Those are both great, really great secondary stats. That was another reason why I went ahead and applied this in here. But again, I would prefer my Lando Calrissian have over 200% on his critical damage, and he's still stuck at the base stat of 150, which I'm not excited about. I will obviously work on his mods as I can. Now, you want to see how those mods played out. Let's go into his abilities. So strength and intelligence average, his agility, which affects the physical damage he does, his critical rating and his armor rating are exceptionally high. His health, I've got boosted up a tiny bit, about 3,000, and his protection I've got, of course, tricked way out at 10,000. So he's around 42,000 as a character, and so he's not going to get one-hit wondered by Rey, and that is important to keep him around. You want him around for at least 2 turns for him to do his double down. And then his speed I've got up by 15, which is nothing. Again, a speed arrow would have been nice to put in there and get an additional, 30 speed bonus on this. That would have been great. However, I'll take whatever I can get for now. His critical damage, I'd again suggest having some critical damage increases, and again, I just have to work with what I have, but I would definitely recommend you get the critical damage up. His potency, not such a big deal. Tenacity is a big deal, especially when people are running with Emperor Palpatine and those kinds of characters. You really want to get up his tenacity to kind of counteract the potency they're applying on their character. And then his health steal. Health steal is pretty awesome. It's at 15%. Not every character has it. Most do, though, and most of them are around 5 or 10%. His is at 15%. It means every time he hits, he's going to gain life based off a percentage of what he hit them for. Now, this is really cool, and we'll talk about it when we get to his attacks and abilities, but the higher he hits, the more he hits, the more he heals. So really, really important that he hits for a lot, and he hits as many people for a lot as possible. And with an AoE, he's going to do a lot of damage and gain a lot of health. His physical damage for an attacker is about average, and his physical critical chance rating. Now, this is kind of key for him. Now, I tested this time and time again, and anytime I had his base stat right here, the 55% you're looking at on physical critical chance, anytime this was below 50, I had a really hard time with him triggering his critical chance on more than one character. It would happen about 50% of the time. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it did not, and definitely frustrating. So I played with it over 50%, and it seemed like it was working 8 or 9 times out of 10. And so it really made a big difference, a big visible difference when I was playing with him, to have his critical chance above 50% here. And then of course he's going to also boost himself, because he has a unique that boosts his own critical chance. And if you have him with characters like Leia, she'll boost up his critical chance as well by another 25%. So Leia's a great asset to Lando Calrissian for sure, especially if you have a fast Leia who gives him that right away. So his critical chance, really, like I said, recommendation, it's got to be north of 50% for him to become effective. Otherwise, you may not see him as effective as you'd like. His armor's not bad at all, especially for an attacker. I've got him at almost 30% armor, which is not horrible at all. The physical critical avoidance is great. The critical avoidance is going to apply both to this physical survivability and also special survivability, you'll see. So anytime they're doing a physical damage or special damage and they're going to crit, it's going to reduce the likelihood that they hit him. It's a chance, reduces that chance of receiving that critical hit from those sources. So that's really cool. You definitely want that if you can. And then he's got a resistance. The resistance is the same as armor. So armor is reducing the damage taken from physical abilities. Resistance is armor. It's just for special abilities. It's 20%, and it reduces the damage taken from special abilities. So if you can, reduce that damage that you're taking from the other team, that's always a good thing. So you can see his stats are pretty good. My areas of opportunity are critical damage and speed, but where I lack, I made up for in other areas, such as making him less squishy. Let's go ahead and go through the abilities. On the top left is Gambler's Shot. Now, this is cool. It's his basic, and if you haven't maxed out with Omegas, you will get the attack does high damage variance and adds an additional 30% chance of scoring a critical hit. So even on his basic, he's going to crit quite a bit. And of course, his health steal, he's going to get 15% of whatever damage that he's doing. So this is a great basic ability. Double down is what he's known for. It means he's going to go, and then he's going to be able to go again and damage the characters. So the way it works is he'll deal physical damage to all enemies, so it's an AoE. And if this attack scores more than one crit, which is statistically going to happen if you've worked him right with his mods, then his cooldown is completely reset, and the next time he has a turn, he gets to reuse it all over again, and it deals 100% more damage next time. So that is a lot of damage on the character. And I have seen on the internet a couple of people who have added, his base critical damage, your base critical damage on any character is 150. Then they added the 36%, the little triangle, of additional critical damage. Plus they had a critical damage set, which was, another 30% on critical damage. And then on High Roller, or not High Roller, Fast and Loose, because they had him as a leader, he got another critical damage boost of 29%. So they were able to get his critical damage up to 245% of his base stat damage. And so pretty amazing. I saw a hit on Double Down. The first time hit for over 10,000. It was between 10 to 12,000. And then the second hit was for over 20,000. And when you think about it, he's hitting 3, 4, 5 characters at 20,000. That is nuts. That is the most damage of any character in the game that I'm aware of, if you add up all of the damage that he is applying to all of the characters. Now again, it's not going to be very fair to look at my Lando and see how much damage he's doing and compare, because I don't have my critical damage at 245%. I have it at 150, which is where it started. So I definitely need to rework him when I get the mods to rework him. But Double Down's pretty amazing. It's just going to, deal the damage, crit on the other people, and then it's going to reset his cooldown, and he's going to get to use it again with 100% more damage. Fast and Loose as a leader. This is an awesome leader for your Scoundrel team. It's who I use on my Scoundrel team as a leader. He'll give the Scoundrels and Rebel allies plus 15% speed and 29% critical damage. So this is pretty cool because he's, of course, going to be boosting everybody's critical damage by 30%. Now, by 29%, essentially 30%. Now, what's really, really cool about this is a lot of people don't have those critical damage mod sets that give him plus 30%, but you don't even need to worry about it. When he's the leader, he's giving that ability, essentially, to everybody. So now you can take your mods and focus on other abilities and other things you'd like to do with your characters, and they're still going to be doing, you know, an extra 29% critical damage. So really amazing, because it's essentially like he gives the critical damage set bonus to everybody on the team, including himself, which is really, really awesome. And then he also gives them 15 speed. 15 speed is out of this world. That's a great addition. Every character you want to be faster, and 15 speed to everyone is awesome. So I would definitely recommend him as a leader. He works wonders. And I know in the meta, which is the data that shows what people are using, in the metadata, they are showing that he is in the number one characters, for like 400 plus servers. He's the number one used character right now. So he's definitely very popular in the thing. And I always tell you, don't really chase the meta, just find good characters and develop them, because the meta comes and goes. You know, what people were focused on 2 months ago is different than a month ago, which is different than now. But definitely Lando's one of the top 10, top 15 characters in the game. So I'd recommend getting him for sure. And so there's something to that for sure. Well, High Roller, which I showed you, is a unique. It gives him a boosted critical chance of 15%, which takes, if you notice, mine was at 55%. This will get it up to 70% chance. And this is applied to each and every character he's going against when he does his AoE. So it will trigger sometimes and trigger not. But really, like I said, I noticed you got to get his base stat over 50% for it to trigger at least the 2 times that you need for it to work. And then, of course, anytime he gains, or anytime he does a critical hit, he's going to get critical chance up. And critical chance up is where he'll live if he crits on that first attack. So get his critical chance up, and he's just going to live in that critical damage arena, damaging the other team. Super fun character to play as well. So I want to showcase him a little bit, just so you can kind of see. So I'm going to go into Galactic War, and I just want to show you his ability. I have him on this team with an Admiral Akbar lead, and Admiral Akbar has a really cool ability which allows another player, if they use a special ability, to go a second turn, and that's really what I want to showcase. He makes an amazing leader, but I do want to show him under Admiral Akbar lead and with Leia. The other thing with actually, I'm not going to show him with Leia right now, but with Leia, which is cool, is she's really fast, she shoots, and then she gives the team critical chance up, 25% critical chance up, which puts him at 90% for me, which is just pretty much a guarantee that it's going to happen. Let's go ahead and whack her. Now we know she's going to go into stealth, so what I'm trying to do is just do a little bit of damage, so when I do this AoE, even if she's stealth, it's going to hit her. So there, I got 4 out of 5 criticals. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Tactical Genius. Now the only thing is Admiral Akbar on occasion gains turn meter so much faster than other characters that there are times when he gets to go. See, look at that. Admiral Akbar is about to go on turn meter, and so is my Lando Calrissian. Kind of sucks. I'm going to go ahead and do this. His AoE. But you'll notice here in just a second that my Lando Calrissian will get to go again, because it reset last time for all of his damage. Now this time it's going to do 100% more damage than the last time. And it did. Let's go ahead and clear all of those. It was kind of a makeshift clone team that we went against, but you got to see his first was double crits, and then the next time, actually he got 3 crits on the first one, and then the next one he got 4 crits, and so it works and works really, really well. I would like to try one more battle just to see if I can get the Admiral Akbar combo, so you can see him use his ability back to back, as it's pretty awesome sight to see him be able to do that ability twice in a row. Oh, he gets to go first. Let's go ahead and do it. So that was 3 or 4 crits. It looked like 3 to me. And it looks like it's going to be a while before my Admiral Akbar is reset. And it just keeps taking people out. I really love Lando and his ability. Extremely fun. And it really won't take much time at all. Looks like this is going to be done before it's gone. So anyway, it's just one of those things. Lando's pretty amazing. You notice that it just keeps triggering, and every time it triggers, he just gets to use it again. So essentially, he's a character that you get to use an AoE over and over and over and over. And after that first attempt, the AoE is going to start doing double damage. So really amazing. If you don't have him, definitely go get him. If you have him, get him maxed out. You're going to use him in multiple facets of the game. As always, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear about your Landos out there. If you've got a Lando that is hitting like a Mack truck, please comment down below what he's hitting for on his second attack or any subsequent attack after the first one. I would be interested to hear what some of the highest hit rates you've seen are. And as always, have a wonderful day. Keep your gaming on. Warrior out.